Man, what is your take on like Christian hip hop culture? Like the evolution of it. I mean, you've been in it for a long time. Like the place where it is now. Because at one point, and we talk about this all the time, old heads who've been around for a minute, man, there was nowhere to find Christian hip hop music. You had to find it in a bookstore in the bottom shelf, and you had to maybe a African American led bookstore. I know in Chicago, Pastor Meeks had a bookstore. Other folks. It wasn't on the radio as much. I mean, I had a radio show in Chicago and in Kansas City, and we was playing it all the time. But now you got Boost FM, you got stuff playing all over the place, right? And you got Holy Culture Radio rocking it, right? And so you got movements where it's been pushing the envelope, and now you got cats winning Grammys, even more so, and attention around that. So, what is your perspective on the Christian hip hop culture?
Man, well, I would say I'm proud of the culture. I'm proud of a lot of the artists that are out now. Um, when it comes to a culture, obviously it evolves. So, there's always going to be new generations of things. We had, remember back in the day, you had T-Bone and what's it called?
Gospel gang.
Gospel Gangsters and, you know, Truth. And Truth is still spitting to this day,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Flame,
Right,
Cross Movement, all of them. And so it's evolved into so much of what we see today. Um,
right.
I think the heart of Christian hip hop has always been we're gonna be bold about our faith, and I
Yeah,
think that's always been good. I think sometimes what was disheartening during the time that I was coming up was I would hear songs where it just kind of felt like we versus them a lot of times, where it was like,
ooh, ooh,
we over here, y'all over there. And, it almost kind of seemed like we separated ourselves from the world to a point where we acted like we were almost higher than, to a degree, with how we came about things lyrically with some songs. And
yeah,
so it just kind of felt like, even in my comment section sometimes, I would back in the day see like folks arguing, about, what is culturally okay, what's not okay, what are you allowed to do, what you can't do. Um,
right, right, right,
and
right, right, right,
so, I would get this vibe of like um pharisaical self-righteousness to a degree in the culture.
right,
And you just
right.
feel people like going back and forth arguing. Um and for me, I think that was always like, I think that was always disheartening. I mean, in a small period of time, like I thought it was dope at first. I was like, man, I ain't normally around folks that want to just like go at it
Yeah,
like theologically. But then after a while, you just kind of see folks like it's like it becomes a thing where it's like they just want to be right, or you just want to be
mhm,
heard, you just want to be seen, you just want to be
yeah,
seen as somebody who knows a lot about their Bible, but you don't really love people. And
right,
so
right,
like for me, like I just I'm just kind of like I got disappointed with Christian hip hop for a period of time, because I'm just like, when do we get back to the, love people, love God, love people? When do we
right,
get back to the I'm here to serve and give my life to the cause? When do we get? And so like but it's evolved. There's different generations of that version. And so now what
yeah,
we see, I think, is just to land that plane.
yeah,
Now what I feel like I see is just another generation of young folks who love God. They love God within culture. They love their faith. They love to communicate their faith and culture. Um, and I think I appreciate it because it gives people the freedom to talk about their faith. Now,
right,
I would love to see more people talk more about like what's going on in their life in real time, not what
right,
you used to do 20 years ago, or not
right,
what hope to do, but like what are you actually effectively doing right now? How do you get through your struggles? How do you get through life? Like
mhm,
how do you wrestle with paying bills on time as a full-time artist?
right,
Like
right,
let's talk about that. I would love to see more like Jay-Z like artists in the culture, where you got more
yeah,
OGs giving you game. Like, how do you
right,
get a Grammy? All right, if you're gonna get a Grammy, how you tell us, how do we get one? If you got five, you
right,
figure something out. How do we
right,
get one? You know?
right,
Um,
yeah,
but so I would love to kind of see that a little bit more. But at the same time, I'm not gonna knock what's already happening. So, I
yeah,
think, man, it definitely has encouraged, people from time to time. I got fans that are strictly Christian hip hop, fans. But I also
Right.
got fans who are not within Christian hip hop. But I know Christian hip hop has definitely had its place and it's still
Hmm.
thriving. So, shout out to everybody doing it now and every artist that's out now.
I mean,
They killing it.
and
Oh, and the
man, my
women
man
are
got the,
killing it too. The women are killing it.
ooh,
It's a
yeah,
man, like a child like CC, Portia Love, Wande, like the list go
one day,
on.
yeah,
It's so many female artists that's killing it right now. Like, and if I Toya Love, she got the steppers joint. Like, it's a lot of dope females that's killing it right now. So,
wow,
which was different back in the day. I didn't know a lot of female Christian hip hop artists like that back in the day. We knew
right.
we knew Drea back in the day. You know what I'm saying? She would get on so
So
virtuous,
virtuous.
you know what I'm saying? But like I didn't know, and also like Mahogany Jones, shout out Mahogany Jones. She's still
Mo,
going right
yep,
now. She's still going
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
She been doing stuff with what's it called? It's almost like they
Reunion.
got a group now, Pistavia and
Uh-huh.
Heesan Lee, what's it called? Bria Miles. Like they got a whole situation going. So I just feel like the women are like they creating their own presence, and I think
Yeah,
that's dope, because a lot of times you just see the men in the front, doing their thing, and the women don't get a lot of shine. Now the women are starting to get that shine that they deserve. So it's good to see that
right,
evolve in the culture.
right, right. And it is. And they ain't asking nobody. They coming in. They coming in both, they coming in
Yeah,
hard. We want to do a
yeah.
whole show on several Christian female MCs, and then we take them one at a time back and forth. But just to introduce more people to them in that way, man. You're right. There was a time in Christian hip hop and ministries and churches were the places where folks felt that that's where I'm going to perform. I'm going to rhyme. That's going to be approved. Yet those
Mm-hmm.
particular churches and places aspire to a particular theological perspective, right? And yet, and because hip hop didn't start in the church, it was always shunned and suspected from the beginning. You could have been you could have been rhyming Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. You could have been,
All
well,
right.
let me, why did you say it? You didn't say the Apocrypha. Anybody, folks would have had issues. So it held back what was a pure to hip hop, which is both being real, relevant, and respectful. Like what's going on in this end, and how do I bring hope to it in this context, right? And so, and
Right.
some stuff ain't always going to be as comfortable for the church to hear, even though it's truth. And so then you got this, you got this kind of controlled narrative of what cats are going to rhyme about because who's going to buy this? I mean, who's going to get this out there, or who? If they don't, even if they don't buy it, who's going to pump it up and support it?
Mm-hmm.
And so only cats rhyming about what was right to rap about in the word and in hip hop, or what was right to rap about theologically to a certain group of people. Most of the time, white evangelicals in that context too, and so
Yeah.
whether they had the purse strings or whatever. But then you find certain cats every once in a while leaking out. Corey Red, you find
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Oh yeah.
Lavoisier, a cat from New York. His stuff will come out. Then you find my man Gospel Gangsters. T-Bone kind of shifted a little bit after Gospel Gangsters album came out. So Tunnel Rats,
Mm-hmm.
who was battle rapping all the
Ton of
time. So
rats. Yeah.
you find that evolution. And I think just like gospel music, it ebbs and flows. When you got the traditional music, and then you got Thomas Dorsey come in, who played bass and jazz and all that kind of stuff, keyboards, and he brought in that to the church, and the church was, oh my gosh, pianos and music in the church, and then all of a sudden, but people came back to faith, and then
Mm-hmm.
then as that became a norm, then you got a different contemporary. You got Andre Crouch, and Andre Crouch come with "Oh Happy Day," and a bunch of people left the church. They come back to the church. Then that
Mm-hmm.
that lasted for a while, and then Kirk Franklin was Stomp. And all of a sudden, it
Mm-hmm.
began to be, oh my God, and then another group. So God uses the remnants of people in the music, I think, and several times, especially in the Black gospel context, to bring people an awareness that God ain't forgot about you. We just got to be bold enough not to worry about the industry. We got to be bold enough to be relevant to what God's called us to be in those spaces.
Yeah. I would also say like I think back in the day, people were really looking for the approval of their youth pastors and youth leaders for them to really be out on their own as Christian rap artists
Mhm.
sometimes. And I'm glad like now today's artists, they're not as concerned about that. Like they're trying to step out on their own, and that
Yeah,
doesn't mean that they're not like, without a covering, like with a
right.
spiritual without a spiritual father. But um but it's good to see that they're willing to step out on their own, because a lot of times, a lot of that pushback wasn't from the culture. It was from folks really outside of the culture. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? A lot of that pushback was from people that really didn't understand the culture. And, and I remember, I remember you know what I'm saying, having to, talk about this stuff about, man, people having an issue with church, with hip hop in the church. And
Right.
I
Right.
remember
Right.
having had, you having had them conversations, you Ephraim Smith, and it just became a
Uh-huh.
thing where it's just like, man, like, why do we even have to explain this? You should know that God can redeem all things to himself. Like, why are we having
Right.
this conversation? Like, you
Right.
just got a personal vendetta against it or something, or you just not up on the times of what's going on. But it's
Right.
just good to see that people have evolved. They're not really worried about that no more. They ain't tripping about that. They doing their own thing. So
Right. 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 And you know, nothing changes because somebody was waiting on it to change. I mean, when people double dutch, they're not waiting on you to slow the rip thing. They're like,
they
ah,
going in.
and they get in that joint, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
the context of what I believe is what you're called to in that space, um, is the answer to God's prayer, with what they say the Lord's Prayer, really the prayer that Christ taught his disciples. The only thing the disciples asked to be taught was how to pray. And
Right.
and he said, God, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So God said, I want down here to look like up there in hip hop. I
Mm-hmm.
want down here to look like up here with senior citizen ministry, with handicap
Right.
ministry, with folks on the street. Down here to look like up there. And so I say that there's a prompting in your heart in whatever field, especially in music that you're in, that God is saying, dadgummit, down here don't look like up there in this style of music and the messages. Don't be waiting till the time is right. Go for it, because there's a
Mm-hmm.
remnant of people, just like with Thomas Dorsey, Andre Crouch, Kurt Franklin, that have been waiting. Like, finally, that's what I need. Some cats need that hype. They need that Glowcella. I got
Yeah,
to go
you
out
know
to
what I'm saying?
California.
Like, shout out to Miles Minnick with Coachella, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doing his thing.
Man,
Like God called us to be
crazy.
upright, not uptight. You know what I'm saying? Like, he called us
Woo.
to be upright, not uptight, like butt cheek. You know, feel me? You know what I'm saying? Because you don't
Yeah.
want to get gassed up. You know, feel me? Nah, but nah, like, but nah, seriously, I think, man, like we've had to come a long way with just being able to just like find our own identity in this space. Cause I mean, there's points of times like people were trying to recycle the same type of artists because they felt like
Yeah.
that would work, or people would try to recycle the same type of marketing because they felt like that worked. But now you just got people from different kinds of platforms. You got Miles Minnick on the West Coast, but then you got Caleb from what's it called? What's it called? I'm drawing blanks. I'm thinking about everybody at the same time. But no, but you got so many artists now, man, that have their own flavor, their own style.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and they bring their own thing. It's
Yeah.
everybody not trying to be on the same wave. Now sometimes we get caught up in the same wave, but it's good to see so many artists step out on their own right now. So
Right. Right.
I'm
And
proud
I
of them, man.
appreciate D1. We had D1 this year for the Fire Fest, and we had my man LaRussell out of Vallejo, California, right? So we had a
Oh
cat
yeah,
from
yeah.
Vallejo, California, speaking truth.
That's
The man
huge.
got so much real hip hop stuff he bringing. I had to bring him
Hmm.
out, and I believe all truth is God's truth, whether you claim it is or not. And it was powerful, And then D1 came and spit his piece, man, and we did some more stuff with him. But like, just um, being bold about that. I mean, hip hop has always been that movement of that level of boldness in that context, and you can't wait for it, others to approve your boldness, and then you go for it. It's and it may not even be. It may seem bold to others, but it may seem normal to you because of what's on your heart. Mugs start catching football with one hand now. That wasn't the
Hmm.
thing when in the 80s, Muggs just wanted to throw a bomb all the time, right? And have a good arm. Now Muggs is catching and practicing, having plays laid out where they catch a pass with one hand. Somebody
Right.
stretched the envelope, somebody pushed the envelope. And I'm saying, if you're suspect until they're ready for you catching passes with one hand, then they'll never be ready. Yeah, we're gonna be right back.